Welcome into BPN Weekly, everybody. My name is Benson Vector, and I'll be the host of your show today. Just a quick apologies to anybody that is listening to this live right now. Original plan was to go live at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Had to get a little bit more preparation done, so we're doing 7 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern. To those listening live, that is 7 to 8 Eastern. Alright, let's do our weekly whip around and look at the standings and anything that has changed from last week. In the NL East, all the same. Standings going Phillies in first, followed by the Braves, a game back, Mets 5 back, Nationals 7.5 back, and the Marlins 13 back in the NL Central. One change to note, I personally believe that the Pirates are now out of contention in the NL Central, and it's a 3-team race between the Brewers, the Cubs, and the Cardinals. Brewers top of the division, Cubs a half game back, and the Cardinals 5 back, Pirates 7 back, and the Reds 8 back. In the NL West, a change to note, the Arizona Diamondbacks are now in third place, surpassing the San Diego Padres. Stands out there, Dodgers a firm lead over the Rockies at 10.5, and the Diamondbacks at 10.5. Padres 11 back, Giants 17 games back. Changes to note in the NL wildcard standings, the Cubs now have home field advantage, game up on the Braves. No changes to note in the NL wildcard standings outside of the Pirates and the Reds falling out of playoff contention. In the American League East, we've got some changes there. All tied up, 40-24 for the Rays, 40-24 for the Yankees. The rest is the same. Red Sox in third, 7 back. Blue Jays in fourth, 17.5, and the Orioles in last at 20.5. In the AL Central, a change to note: the Twins now have lead over the Indians, not the White Sox. Indians at 10.5 back in second. White Sox 12 back. Tigers 18 back, and the Royals in last at 23.5 back. And no changes to note in the AL West, with the Houston Astros with a firm lead over the Rangers 9 back, A's 12 back, Angels 13 back, and the Mariners 18.5 back. In the AL wildcard, there is a change to note that just the loser of a potential AL East tiebreaker game between the Yankees and the Rays would hold the first wild card spot, and they'd have a 5.5 game lead on the Rangers. Whoever loses that division between the Rays and the Yankees is going to hold that first wild card position. And really, in the American League, it's just a matter of who's going to take that second wild card position. The rest of the spots are locked up. It's going to be the Yankees, it's going to be the Rays, it's going to be the Twins, and it's going to be the Astros. It's just a matter of if the Rangers can hold on to that second AL wildcard spot, which they currently occupy at 34-29. Some changes to note in the American League wildcard standings. The Indians moving up the standings now, only 2 back that wildcard spot. Oakland, I believe, dropping maybe from last week. Oakland is now 3 games back at that spot, and the White Sox dropping as well. They're now 3.5 back. Angels sitting at 4 back, and the Red Sox sitting at a game and a half back of that AL wildcard spot. Now, just as we're going to be planning on doing every week, we're going to take a look at the playoff bracket and see what would happen if the playoffs began today. So let's head out to the NL wildcard game. We've got Cubs, Braves. That would be John Lester going up against Mike Soroka. John Lester currently has a 3.56 ERA with a 2.51 postseason ERA. Mike Soroka, an elite 1.38 ERA, no postseason experience. This was a tough matchup for me to decide between Lester and Soroka. Just simply because Soroka's been so dominant for the Atlanta Braves so far in the 2019 season. But at the end of the day, John Lester has postseason experience and an elite postseason experience. Soroka does not. Therefore, I've got the Cubs winning that game, moving on to the NLDS to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Let's move on to the American League East tiebreaker game. That is between the New York Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays. You would get Masahiro Tanaka, a 3.42 ERA on the season, 1.50 postseason ERA, going up against Blake Snell, a 3.68 ERA on the season, no postseason ERA. Again, tough matchup because you have the reigning AL Cy Young Award winner in Blake Snell. but he hasn't been the same pitcher that he was last year. And then you got Masahiro Tanaka, who has been great this season for the Yankees, and has elite postseason experience as well. He's been able to step up in those big games for the New York Yankees. So you have that Cy Young winner, and then you have the elite postseason guy. And I'm going to go with the elite postseason guy in Yankee Stadium. Yankees take that game and take the American League East, and we'll be taking on the Minnesota Twins in the ALDS. Now, as for the American League wildcard game, it would be between the Tampa Bay Rays and the Texas Rangers. The Rays would have burned Blake Snell, so having to use Charlie Morton in that game, a 2.30 ERA in the season, but a 4.60 ERA. For the Rangers, Mike Minor, 2.55 ERA, 1.42 postseason ERA. Charlie Morton's been great so far for the Rays this season. Definitely working out for them as a free agent sign. But that postseason ERA being at 4.60 does not look pretty whatsoever. Mike Minor hasn't been as good as Morton so far this season, but does have that elite postseason experience again with his time with the Braves. With that, I'm going to go with the Texas Rangers winning the AL wildcard game and eliminating the Tampa Bay Rays. Alright, moving on to the NLDS series between the Phillies, I believe we have. Phillies and Brewers, American National League Division Series. Game 1, we'd see Brandon Woodruff facing off against Aaron Nola. Woodruff with a 3.87 ERA, a 2.19 postseason ERA. Aaron Nola has not been the same this year, 4.63 ERA, no postseason experience. I go Brewers taking a 1-0 lead in Game 1. Game 2, we'd get to see Zach Davies, a 2.41 ERA so far this season. No earned runs ever allowed in his postseason career, going up against Jared Eichhoff, a 4.14 ERA in the season. No postseason experience. I got Zach Davies and the Brewers winning that game, taking a 2-0 series lead. Then in Game 3, we'd see Chase Anderson going up against Jake Arrieta. Anderson, a 3.93 ERA in the season. No postseason experience. Going up against Jake Arrieta, a 4.29 ERA, 3.08 in postseason experience. This game's in Philly. I've got the Phillies taking this game, avoiding the sweep. 2-1 Brewers at that point. And then, to me at this point, because I don't want to revisit the Woodruff-Nola matchup, which you'd see in Game 4, we go to the two stars. Who are the two stars for the two teams? For the Phillies, we've got JT Realmuto, a 2.4 WAR on the season, and then we've got Christian Yelich for the Brewers, a 4 WAR. The Brewers got the star power in this. I see them winning this NLDS 3-1. Alright, in the other National League Division Series, Dodgers-Cubs. Game 1, we'd see Clayton Kershaw, a 3.14 ERA, 4.32 in postseason experience, going up against Kyle Hendricks, a 3.16 ERA, and a 2.98 postseason experience. Kersh has struggled in the postseason, so I got Hendricks. Cubs going up 1-0. Game 2, Rich Hill. Going up against John Lester. Rich Hill holds a 2.40 ERA in the season, a 3.04 postseason ERA. John Lester, who would have pitched in the NL wildcard game, so we'd get Game 2 here, a 3.56 ERA, 2.51 postseason ERA. I've got the Cubs taking a commanding 2-0 series lead. Game 3, we've got Hyunjin Ryu, a 1.35 season ERA, 4.11 postseason, going up against Yu Darvish, 4.88 ERA, 5.81 in the postseason. Ryu and Darvish have both struggled in the postseason. Both have had their struggles on the Dodgers as well. But I've got Ryu and the Dodgers avoiding the sweep, 2-1 Cubs. Then, I usually don't want to revisit pitching matchups, but this would be a different pitching matchup. It would be Kershaw v. Lester, and I've got Lester taking the cake on that one. Kershaw doesn't have good postseason numbers. Lester has very good numbers. So we've got an NLCS matchup looking between NL Central rivals, the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Chicago Cubs. Let's move on to the American League Division Series. We've got the first matchup, the New York Yankees going up against the Minnesota Twins. Game 1, we'd see James Paxton, 3.11 ERA, no postseason experience, going up against Jose Barrios, a 3.14 ERA, 9 ERA in postseason experience, and that came in Yankee Stadium as well. Although, at the end of the day, I'm going to go with Jose Barrios and the Twins taking a 1-0 series advantage. Then we've got in Game 2, Masahiro Tanaka, a 3.42 ERA in the season, 1.50 in postseason experience, going up against Michael Pineda, a 5.34 ERA, no postseason experience. I got Tanaka, series tied up at 1 apiece. Game 3, we'd see J.A. Happ, a 4.48 ERA, 5.48 in postseason experience, going up against Kyle Gibson, 4.14 ERA, no postseason experience. Although Happ has struggled in his postseason experience, I still have the Yankees taking a 2-1 series advantage, and then it's just a matter that the Yankees have the bigger star power in Stanton and Judge. I've got the Yankees winning that series by a score of 3-1, going to the American League Championship Series. Then in the other ALDS, we've got the Houston Rangers and the Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers, a battle of Texas. Game 1, we get to see Justin Verlander, a 2.40 ERA, 3.19 in postseason experience, going up against Ariel Jurado. Been very good this season for the Rangers so far. A 2.78 ERA, no postseason experience. I've got Justin Verlander of the Astros taking Game 1, 1-0. Game 2, we get to see Garrett Cole, a 3.72 ERA in both the regular season so far this year and the postseason. Going up against Rangers ace Mike Minor, coming off the AL wildcard victory. Mike Minor, with that 2.55 ERA, 1.42 postseason experience, I've got the Mike Minor and the Rangers winning that game. Game 3, Framber Valdez, been very good so far for the Astros this season, a 2.73 ERA, no postseason experience, going up against Lance Lynn, 4.39 ERA in the season, 4.80 in postseason experience. This game would be in Texas. Framber Valdez doesn't have that postseason experience. Lynn does. I got the Rangers taking a 2-1 series advantage. And then again, I usually don't revisit that is already happened pitching matches. But again, Minor would go up against Justin Verlander, up 2-1 in the series at home. I've got Minor and the Rangers pulling up the upset over the Astros. Moving on to the ALCS, so we've got on that side Yankees v. Rangers, and in the NL side we've got Brewers v. Cubs. Game 1, we'd see Brandon Woodruff going up against John Lester. Woodruff has been great in the postseason, so has Lester. They've both had good seasons thus far. This game is in Milwaukee, albeit a lot of Cubs fans in attendance, but I've got the Cubs losing this game. Brewers going up at 1-0 in the series. Game 2, Zach Davies versus Kyle Hendricks. Hendricks has been great in the postseason. Davies even better so far this season and in the postseason. Brewers taking a 2-0 series advantage. Then we'd see Chase Anderson going up against Yu Darvish in Game 3. Darvish does have postseason experience. This game would be in Chicago. I got the Cubs 2-1 series with Milwaukee having the advantage. In Game 4, we'd see Jimmy Nelson, a 12 ERA on the season, no postseason experience, going up against Jose Quintana, 3.77 ERA, 5.40 in the season. Although Quintana's been knocked around in the postseason, Jimmy Nelson has no experience and has been roughed up so far this season. I've got the Cubs forcing a 2-2 tie. And then, as I said, we don't revisit pitching matchups, so it comes down to the stars for each team. Christian Yelich, going up against Javier Baez for the number 1 star on that team. Yelich has the advantage in that situation. And then 3-2 Cubs. Then Mike Moustakas, 2.2 WAR, going up against Anthony Rizzo, a 1.9 WAR. The Brewers have more star power in this series with Woodruff and Davies. Although they struggle with Anderson and Nelson, the star power there has me having the Brewers winning the series 4-2 in 6 games headed to the World Series. All right, American League side, Championship Series. Rangers, Yankees. Game 1, Masahiro Tanaka going up against Mike Minor. Both elite postseason guys. Minor has been better so far this season, slightly better in the postseason. I've got the Rangers taking a 1-0 series lead. Game 2, James Paxton versus Ariel Jurado. Both guys, no postseason experience. Both guys elite this season. Jurado's been better. Rangers 2-0. Game 3, J.A. Happ going up against Lance Lynn in Texas. Both guys have struggled in the postseason, but again, this game is in Texas. I got the Rangers taking a commanding 3-0 series lead. Game